Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Happy Wednesday, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Hope you're having a phenomenal day. It is really flip the switch here in New York City. It is warm. Not going to say it's hot yet, but it is warm. Holy cow. I came back to New York and we've had 70 degrees, 75 degrees every day. Wasn't ready for all that, but we are very close to turning that corner into summer. And of course, that means the somewhat only true window in where there are precious few Packers news updates, NFL news or updates, things like that. So in the meantime, clearly we're going to hop on every little bit of news when it comes to the green and gold, including Devonte Wyatt having his fifth-year option exercised by the Green Bay Packers. I think no one's really surprised by this. Brian Gutekunst indicated he had every intention of making sure that Wyatt was kept in the fold. Of course, at that time, he did say by some kind of mechanism, meaning could have been the fifth-year option, could be a contract extension, etc. But with the fifth-year option, this is for 2026. He will play out the final year of his rookie deal in 2025 and then be guaranteed $12.9 million in 2026, which I suspect if he is able to stay on the field, and that is a big if, but if he is able to play in the majority of the games and play the majority of the snaps in those games in 2025, that's going to look like a bargain. Because we saw last year, the first year in Jeff Hafley's defense really seemed to suit Wyatt. He really kind of took to it and was exactly what they were looking for as far as an ability to get upfield, create havoc, explode through gaps, get after the quarterback. There were at least two different games where he started out on fire and then had to leave due to injuries, and the kind of threadbare pass rush that they had up front, mostly because of him, dried up very quickly once he left the field. That's why I say I really hope he's able to stay on the field, because it really did look like he was putting it together. And I know there had been some discontentment from the fan base in regards to his output early on in his career. Defensive line, that does tend to be a position where it takes a little bit in the league to kind of figure it out, that jump from college to the pros. But he certainly seemed to be turning that corner last year, both, I think, as a product of hitting that third year kind of maturation and figuring things out, along with being asked to do some different things in Hafley's scheme. Certainly seemed to start to be paying off. And again, I think this was, I'm not going to say a no-brainer, but makes all the sense in the world to pull the trigger on this fifth-year option. Another piece of news is most of the offseason program kind of dates for the Packers had already been announced, but we do have the official date for the rookie minicamp, which is going to be May 2nd and 3rd. I know there are a couple of tryout guys going to be invited to that as well. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure the beat will be covering that from soup to nuts, so to speak. But like I said, we're ready to turn that corner, and then the OTAs will start up. We'll have the mandatory minicamp, I believe, through the 13th that weekend in Green Bay, and then we have that long dark of the offseason from mid-June through the end of July, where hopefully there are no headlines. We don't hear about anything from the Packers other than maybe, say, a Zach Tom extension. We will see. Speaking of the fifth-year option for Wyatt, there is no word yet. Or I'm sorry. On Wyatt, there is no word yet on what they plan to do with Quay Walker, who is obviously the other first-round pick from 2022. No word yet, though that word could be breaking even as we speak, live right now. I don't see anything, but we will obviously keep you abreast of any developments there in regards to Quay Walker's either fifth-year option or just contract status in general, because I do think when Brian did say, some kind of mechanism, I believe he's probably talking about or alluding to what they want to do with Quay Walker, because I will still be surprised if they pull the trigger on a fifth-year option for Quay. I do think they want to make sure that they have something kind of a year or two out after the 2025 season. So we shall see. Hello to everybody in the comments section. So good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Stu is here. Football. Yes. As always, Stu, football. Ryan Willie starting us off with a super chat. How are you, man? With the recent extension by the Bengals, is there really a salary cap? All that trade talk was bogus. Well, as far as if you're talking about Hendrickson, I know there have been rumblings about a potential for them to do something with his contract, but I haven't seen any official word. Now, I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be, like 24/7, so maybe I missed it, but I know they have been talking about some kind of adjustment to the contract. And to your question about, is there really a salary cap? Yes, there is. You just are able to manipulate it if you so choose to keep players that you want to. That's why it's so rare, especially to take a look at this offseason as far as what was on offer in the free agent market. Every year, it seems the talent pool gets a little drier, right? It's because teams do a very good job now of being able to, I'll say, manipulate the cap so that they can keep the players they want. If you really want to keep a player, you can do it. Now, obviously, I don't think the Bengals want to give an extension to Hendrickson, but I think they want him on their team, and they're going to do what they can to keep him. I don't think the trade talks were bogus. I think they were earnest in the sense that if they could get a king's ransom for him, they'd be happy to trade him. But that never materialized. Well, I don't think that's surprising, but I don't think they were doing that in bad faith. Let's say it that way. Brandy Lewis, thanks for the super chat. Devonte Wyatt, Hutchinson Community College. Go Blue Dragons. There you go. That's good. What a pull from Brandy. I like it. Frank Creed, thanks for checking out the stream on Facebook, man. Might we pick up Rasul Douglas, a free agent? I would be surprised, Frank. Now, it's possible, given that they didn't draft a corner until late. Maybe they get to a point later this offseason and they, come to the conclusion that what they have on offer, especially on the perimeter, which is where Rasul would play, isn't up to snuff, or they feel it's too thin and maybe they pull the trigger there. I will say, Rasul's not coming off a very strong season there in Buffalo. There's a reason they let him walk. And, like I said, they have seemingly tried to, turn the page there, clearly, when they traded him, because of the fact that they didn't want an aging guy that they were going to pay what he would have been commanding on the open market. So I suspect that door is probably closed, but never say never. But I do think they'd probably rather go young there. And don't forget, they're running a different scheme now than what, Rasul was playing back when he was with the Packers. Last Son of Krypton, thanks for being a Care of the G Club member. Appreciate you, man. I'm back. Super excited to see the two Georgia defensive tackles in the preseason in the middle of that defense. Going to be hard to get push on these two kids. I mean, look, he's got to do the work, right? You're talking particularly about Brinson, but he could be exciting, very much so. But I got to see him with pads on against NFL talent first. But I'm excited at the prospect, no doubt about it. And I do think, yes, there's every opportunity that it could be improved in that regard, but we shall see. A lot of ball game left. Joe, thanks for the super chat. Any Packers UDFAs really spark your interest? Nothing that I'm kind of too worked up about or excited about. I know a lot of folks are excited about a couple of the Georgia prospects. I actually did just talk to Justice about that in our way too early 53-man roster prediction. But this is going to be a tough roster for a UDFA to crack. And I know somewhat at the last second last year, they did keep their streak alive of having UDFAs make the week 1 roster. But it's going to be, that's a tough lift. And I know they've given out some bonuses, and there's no doubt that these guys are going to get a shot. I asked Brian that point blank at the pre-draft presser, right? They have a reputation well earned for opportunities. And guys, if you can come to work and do your job and turn some heads each and every day, make a play a day, you're going to get more opportunities. Packers have shown you will get, opportunities to stick around if you are an undrafted free agent. But again, because of where their program is and has how their roster lays out, I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough year to do that. Joseph, thanks to the super chat, man. O-line is gaining some pounds, and I'm a big fan. Joseph, no doubt about it. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but you can definitely see how the Packers are, I think, somewhat reacting to the idea of getting pushed around way too often, especially in these playoff games, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Buccaneers, whether it's the 49ers multiple times. You can't have your season ending because you get pushed around on the line of scrimmage. The Packers seem to be finally changing their MO there. Ed, thanks to the super chat, man. Can't wait for preseason to get here so I can say it's preseason. Nothing matters until the season starts. I do say that kind of every summer, where especially that first preseason game. We get so excited, right? And it is very exciting to have football somewhat back. But then, like, they sub out any of the frontline guys who maybe happen to be starting, which is like two of them. And then by the time you get to like the second quarter, you're already into the third stringers. And it's like, okay, I'm ready for the season to start and these games to matter. I don't, you know, want to diminish the importance of preseason for guys trying to make a squad and coaching staffs trying to get their evaluation in. No doubt about it. But as an entertainment product, yikes. It's hard to watch sometimes. Nash, thanks for the super chat. Being at the draft was so amazing. Still can't believe it was real. I was sad I didn't get a chance to meet you. The atmosphere alone was legendary. Thank you, Mark and Goodell. Go Pack Go. Sorry I didn't get to meet you, man, but yes, I am glad you were there. I'm glad anybody got to experience the draft in Green Bay. It was magical. It was outstanding. And I will tell you what, not only because of the fact that 600,000 people showed up, pretty much twice what they were expecting, but also the fact that it is the second most watched draft ever in the history of the event. The only time the draft has had more eyeballs on it on the television or on the internet is when we were all shut in our homes during the pandemic. 27% more than watched it last year when it was in Detroit. You add all that up, I had gone into the event thinking, okay, it's once in a lifetime, never going to happen again. But given the success, there's every chance it gets back to Green Bay. Now, I think it'll be a while. But, like I said earlier, when it was kind of ramping up, I thought, okay, this is going to be great. It's the only time it's ever going to happen. I definitely think now, given the success on every level, I think there's a decent chance they get it again. I mean, it is supposed to be somewhat of a traveling road show for teams that can't ever hold a Super Bowl. And certainly, the Green Bay is 100% in that conversation. So, yeah, I think there's a very good shot it returns somewhere down the line. I'm talking like 10 years out, but I think there's a decent chance that happens. Soder, what's up, man? You're going to start doing Georgia watch parties? Would cover the defensive scouting portion of the draft. It's not a bad idea, right? I mean, Brian just can't quit those Bulldogs. I'll tell you that. Speaking of watch parties, though, for Soder, Patreon members, Carry the G Club members, started talking to Corey earlier this week about trying to figure out a way that we're going to do some kind of old school Packers game watch parties during the off season for our Patreon and Carry the G Club members. Kind of like what we do happy hour, like we all gather, but then we watch an old school, like 1980s Packers game or 1950s Packers game or something like that. Some game that people haven't seen a million times that we can all watch with somewhat fresh, modern eyes and have a good time talking about it. We'll see. We're a ways away. We're trying to figure it out, but that I think should be a fun kind of off-season content that we can all just hang out, talk ball, and during a time when there's not a lot of news, right? Abdul, how are you, man? Hey, Aaron, if you feel any better about the pass rush now? Man, it's still my number one concern heading into the season. No doubt about that. I will say, though, I am cautiously optimistic about the additions that they made up front. Obviously, you got Oklahoma State, Texas, etc. coming into the mix. I still think the biggest step forward needs to be the guys that they have on hand, but mark me down as cautiously optimistic, though I got to see it to believe it. Let's say that. Rick Harris, thanks to the super chat, man. Thank God for Cheesehead TV. I'm tired of Bucks talk on local radio. I mean, Rick, I understand why. I mean, it's the day after a devastating playoff loss. I mean, that's what we do when the Packers have their devastating playoff losses. We talk about it all day, right? Yeah, that was a tough one last night. And you guys know I'm not a Bucks fan. I didn't even watch the game, but obviously I'm on social media and I saw everything about it, including Halliburton's dad. What the hell, man? That's some weak sauce right there. And I know he issued an apology, etc. But yeah, I'm not surprised they're talking about it. That is a gut punch. Although I did see, I think it was Homer compared it to the loss to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. It's slow down a little bit here, folks. Abdul, how you doing, man? Is Williams our kick and punt returner? I doubt both. I suspect he gets an opportunity on kick return. I think I would still guess that McCole Hardman is your best bet to be your punt returner. Justice and I talked about this in our 53-man roster prediction. I think Matthew Golden's going to get opportunities. I think Williams will get an opportunity on kick return. Probably put him back there on punt return, though I don't think he will be your starter there. I think he'll get practice reps at it. They always have 3 or 4 guys in the mix during training camp and into the preseason. But I suspect Hardman is your punt returner, and I hope that's the case because he's the one guy in the building that's done it outside of Jaden Reed, and Reed hadn't done it before he started doing it, and we all saw how tepid and kind of, I don't know, not productive that was. I want a guy who's done it at the NFL level. Hardman's got the reps, and he's done a very good job as a returner in the league. I still think that's Hardman's gig. Now, who knows? Maybe he doesn't even make the team, and then it does go to Williams. Maybe that's just how the 53-man roster shakes out. But I still suspect Hardman's your punt returner. But I do think Williams, yes, will be given probably those opportunities on kick return, even with Keyshawn Nixon still in the mix. What else we got here, folks? Dennis says, "Well, I like Tyrese Halliburton because he is a local product. I don't like him or his dad. No class, all. Oh, I mean, yeah, he's got attitude. He's a bit of a front runner. He's insanely talented, no doubt about it. And I did appreciate him taking the mic last night. The clip I saw where he said he had spoken to his dad and how inappropriate things were, etc. I think he's a good guy, a good kid. But I'm with you. I do not care for his team or his brand of basketball when he's wearing a Pacers jersey. Let's say that. Tom, good question, man. Does Quay not having his option taken mean he's looking at a Jordan Love type of extension, or will be a bit of a longer term one? Random Packer Blake Bortles. Excellent. Tom, we actually, Justice and I talked about this the week before the draft. We have a whole video on this subject. But to give you the Cliff Notes version, I think that's exactly what they want to do as far as the Jordan Love-esque kind of mini, kind of 1 year thing, kind of maybe call it a Band-Aid extension, right? To make sure that he gets through 2025 and is what they think he is, kind of like they did with Jordan Love, right? Now, do I think that we've still got the deadline, it could still happen as we're talking right here live. But it does sound like that they're not going to pull the trigger. Could it be a long-term extension? There's a possibility. I'd be surprised if that was the end game, but if you're the player, you want your security, you want that kind of long-term deal and that long-term guaranteed money. Maybe he says, okay, this is it, or I'm just going to play out the final year of my deal and I'm going to take my chances and hit the market next offseason. I mean, that is his prerogative, right? But yeah, I think if I'm the Packers, I suspect that's what they want. They want the kind of Jordan Love solution, so to speak. Give them another year to make sure. And then if he does ball out the way they suspect he will, then give him a long-term deal, probably mid-season 2025, but definitely after the season. We got Brandy. How are you? Kazir Bugs Brown, 6'1", 223-pound corner. Hope he makes the team. Random Packer, Jason Spitz. I mean, if there's a spot where you could make some noise and turn some heads and possibly get on the 53-man roster, it's at corner. It's certainly not a overwhelming depth chart that you have to overcome. There's definitely a chance there. No doubt about it. Rick, only because I know other people will ask, and I think one person has already asked. Nags, I think Ja plays in Green Bay. Your thoughts based on what's being said now? Look at my short that's here on the YouTube channel, graciously put together by Tyler Herrick from the chat yesterday. Wake me up when it's training camp, and I'll find out if Ja's on the roster or not. I'm not spending all summer worrying about it. That's for damn sure. We'll find out. Dustin, thanks to the super chat, man. Simmons could be a sleeper pickup of the year. Of the year. I think he's going to be a special teams demon, and anything he gives you from scrimmage is gravy. There's no doubt the athleticism is undeniable. But if you want to watch a guy who really was an absolute terror on special teams, go back and watch some Giants games last year. He has definitely found his niche as far as what he excels at in the NFL. And I do think, yes, there's a possibility he adds something from scrimmage in a very, very minimal way. Probably A, in case, if injury strikes, but B, even in situations where maybe there's a team that plays a certain style or a certain scheme that, Hafley and company think they can utilize his athleticism in a certain way, you could definitely see him getting on the field that way. But yeah, there's no doubt that his main thrust on this roster will be on special teams. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to get going. Cannot thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Patreon members, Carry the G Club members, don't forget happy hour at the top of the hour. All the relevant information is on your respective pages. Everybody else, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.